looking forward?
So the last couple of games, the team has actually played really well. Riverside kind of kicked off, the dawn of a new day where we kind of solidified the way that we want to play and just the style that we're going to play and kind of our rotation. And it was excellent. I mean, we played really, really well. Defensively, we still have a couple of things to kind of fix up, but that's, it's small things. When you defend, it could be just a matter of a small gap that's this big that could be your undoing. So they're pretty easy fixes. We're just trying to watch a lot of film and get the kids to be a little bit more aware. We had a slight injury to Jessica French, so that might change things. But on the offensive side, things are starting to click. And then you saw that against UNLV, where just the first half, we totally dominated them, played some of the best soccer we've probably ever played. I mean, I watched it again yesterday, and you're just so happy. You just watched it and smiled. I didn't have to take any notes. It just was, I was like,
drink it in.
The clouds parted and the sun shined on me, and it was so great. And then the second half was just fire and brimstone, terrible terribleness. Yeah, it's like it's like the world was reminding you that you still have work to do. But I think that the fact that we can play that way is kind of nice. And then obviously this weekend coming up, we have UP and UW, it's 2 top 50 programs, but it allows us the opportunity to kind of work on some, formational changes and adjustments that we might have to use later in the year. So it's all kind of part of that big picture that we as coaches try really hard to hang on to. And then after that, of course, Dixie, and then we open conference. So it kind of is going to play out, I think, perfectly. That's the plan.
Overall, how do you feel the team's played so far?
It's really good. I mean, the hard part is that you look at the record and it doesn't feel great because you see a big goose egg there on the win side. But as far as if you just look at how we're playing really, really well and have a lot of opportunities. We've hit the post, I think 5 times now. And so, we're going to slip finishing into our practice repertoire this week. But, Sticks, I think just in that last game hit the post twice. Jessica French hit the post again, and so you just kind of got. Well, Sticks didn't hit the post. She shanked that breakaway a little bit wide, but so we're just right there against really good teams. I mean, UNLV, Mountain West team, Big West team, Riverside, all conferences that are historically seen as better than the Big Sky, and we're just taking it to them. So I think that you have to be happy with the performance. You're not happy with the end results, but if you don't look at the end result, you feel like you won the game. Does that make sense? It's just kind of one of those unfortunate realities that you didn't actually win the game, which I think is all that most people care about. So we'll see.
Getting through these 2 and the next 4 at home has to be confidence boost if you do well enough there.
Yeah.
Propel you forward in the right direction.
That's kind of the idea. You go into this weekend and it's going to be a really tough game, but if you can play well and you can do some things and execute. I mean, soccer at the end of the day is soccer. We played FAU to a 2-1 game. FAU takes North Carolina to an overtime. So it's
North Carolina only the gold standard of women's soccer.
Yeah, and the parity in soccer it's so close now. When I played, it was the top 20, and then everybody else was way over there.
Yeah.
But now you really can kind of upset anybody on the day. I mean, last year, Northern Colorado in the NCAA tournament barely loses to Arizona, so it's like we're all kind of right there, and as long as we can go in there and stick to our game plan and hang tough and come out with some good feelings, then take it to Dixie State the next week, with some tight play and smart stuff, then we roll into a home stand, which would be so nice. Looking forward to that.
It says here Dixie State is here. It's there?
It's here.
It is here.
On a Saturday, which should be nice.
Good.
Get a good fan base, and we're trying to build up that Thor's Army.
No football game?
No football game. Yeah, so I think we'll get a lot of good fans. We had a good show for that Labor Day weekend, considering everybody's out of town. It was on a Sunday. Like I said, we're trying to build up that Thor's Army, and they were fantastic. They had the drums and the horns, and they will not be silenced.
It's always good when your fans are getting told to be quiet.
We double-check the rules, and there's no... as long as they follow your, disclaimer from the beginning. So expect them to be 3 times as big as a Dixie State game.
Good.
What's the idea and excitement behind Thor's Army?
Well, I think it just is athletics at SU is kind of on the rise, and we are always talking about like the rising tide lifts all ships, and I think that if people can get excited about all of our sports equally, you've always seen people really support like gymnastics, and if you can get some of those people out, across the board for all the sports, and plus soccer is just such an exciting thing nowadays. You look at like the Timbers and you look like the Outlaws for the U.S. national team, and they've got cannons and smoke and horns and faces are painted, and it's just something that's really fun, and the game's ever flowing, so you never have to stop, and they were awesome the first half until they kind of got shut down. But like I said, we're gonna address that issue and cannot silence Thor's army.
Coach, your goalkeeper situation, you kind of played Caitlin and Destiny pretty much equal time.
Right.
What's your analysis of that, and what's kind of the plan with that moving forward?
I wish I had a great answer. We're just going to keep calling it a situation, I think. They're exactly opposite. Caitlin's good on breakaways. Destiny's not great on breakaways. Destiny's great in traffic on corner kicks, good hands, brave. Caitlin, is still working on that area. So it's kind of one of those things where they're almost like opposite players. So heading into UP-UW, we'll play, Destiny in that first game and Caitlin in the second game. We've also kind of looked at, in the first half of a game, once you sub people off, you don't get a re-entry. And so we tried to make sure Caitlin got a few opportunities to start in that game and play with a different kind of player ahead of her, maybe not as fresh. And then we had Destiny, and we flip-flopped, and it didn't reveal anything. So it's like nothing we're throwing at them is making either one stand out. Same with in practice. Statistically, they're dead even. I mean, it's just, we're kind of where we were last year. But they're both very, very good, and both have made incredible saves. So we'll just kind of have to see how they separate themselves. This weekend will be a big chance because I think they'll get quite a few opportunities to make saves.
You mentioned the injury to Jessica. Any other injuries you guys are dealing with?
No, I think we kind of have that typical starting to hit the midpoint where everybody's banged up a little bit. You got a lot of, quad injuries here and tweaked hammy there. Allie dislocated her elbow against Riverside, so that's probably our chief concern right now. Jessica was like a tweaked groin. It was literally on that last play against UNLV where she ran all the way down the field, and we had that late corner. So it was on that play. And then, but Allie's probably our chief concern right now with the elbow. She should get an MRI today or tomorrow to see where that's at. The ER cleared, there was nothing broken or anything like that, and she's been checked every day since. And we'll see if it's torn or sprained. That's the big question.
I know it may be too early probably is too early to address this, but does this team have potential to reach the postseason in your mind?
I think so. I think we're playing great soccer, better than we've ever played. We have a really mature team. Bree Sims is our only freshman that is starting right now, and she's terrific. She's almost one of our top, 5 players. Statistically, her pass completion ratio is, second out of our whole attacking core, so she's showing great poise on the ball. She's a fierce tackler. She's our best player in the air right now, even though she's really small. But everybody else around her is, mature. They have a savviness to them. Peyton Bonino's playing just superb soccer, just got some confidence, and Abby Flanders kind of back into form. You've got Shelby that's doing great. Roe as an outside back's doing great. So it's like this maturity that we haven't had before, so they kind of know what it takes. And I'd be hard pressed to find a scenario where they can't figure out how to make it.
Top 6 especially too.
Yeah, top 6. We had a push from the coaches to go to 8, which I think is more fair. Because, again, the parity in our conference especially, you see us beating Northern Colorado and them winning the conference. And, you see a lot of kind of upsets throughout conference play. But I think 8 for our conference would be much more fair, much more representative of the talent that we have. But we just get to pass along our wishes, and then the powers that be make those choices. But, 6 I think is super realistic. I think we have a really strong team. We didn't graduate too much. So we can get healthy and stay healthy. I think it's within the realm of possibility for sure.